right, it should be working. Let's see. Let's do this. And let's do this. All right. You should be hearing me, and you should not be hearing anything else. Let me know. Do you hear any other audio in the background? Let me know. Because I'm having a weird thing with OBS right now. I'm trying to figure out. So you don't hear anything. All right. I'm going to hit play on that. Do you hear anything now? Yeah, no, this is live. It's not Memorex. You just hear me. Weird. So something's up with OBS where I'm not able to play any other audio. Yeah, you can hear me fine, but I'm just looking at the thing. Because I can use voice meter banana, and I'm getting no audio. I can hear it if I put on my headphones, so I know it's working. I see it working in a voice meter, but it's not coming through on OBS. Yeah, there's always something going on with OBS. I mean, honestly, I don't really need any background noise. I was just going to have some music in the background, but I did want to talk about the Steam Deck stuff. Actually, I'm going to share this out if you give me just a second, and then I'm going to just jump right into this. And I know I'm competing against Kind of Funny right now with KFGD, but I have time, so I want to talk. All right. So I just posted that. See who shows up, and I appreciate y'all being here. Give me just one sec and I will be ready to go. So I jump into this, change that. Post this. Yep. And one more, and I'm just going to jump into what I got to say. And post that. All right. Cool. Goon Gang. Yep, the Goon Gang is here. All right. So wait a minute. One other thing. Why am I not seeing? Okay, so, oh my God, why is it making me verify everything? I'm sorry. Let's do this real quick. Okay, we should be good. And my apologies, this is taking so long. I did not mean for this to go as long as it did. All right, I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready. So I do appreciate everyone that's here in the live stream. I know it's been a hot minute since I've done a live stream, but yeah, you can hear me, right? You can hear me, but you don't hear anything else. Let me just make sure all this stuff is good. Let me do one quick sound check. How you're watching me and KFGD. That's funny. All right, so I'm turning this off. So yeah, I know I'm competing against Kind of Funny right now, but I just want to talk more about this whole thing with Valve and the Steam Machine, because I didn't really get a chance to talk about it the way I wanted to. You know, not, I shouldn't say the way I wanted to. I mean, I hopped on KFGD just randomly yesterday and talked about it. But, you know, I had more thoughts to go into this and what I think it potentially means, and the pricing, because obviously everyone's kind of all over the place with the pricing and all of that. First off, Valve doing this had been long rumored, so it wasn't a surprise that we're getting this now. I just think seeing what the Steam machine is, seeing the specs that are with it, seeing them come out with the Steam frame, which again was long rumored they're going to come out with another VR headset as well, and updating the Steam controller itself and kind of presenting this all at once. That did surprise me. I didn't necessarily think they were going to do this, but you kind of got to go back 10 years because they tried this previously, obviously, with the original Steam controller and the original Steam machine, where they were partnering with different, third-party hardware companies, and they were making different, essentially PC specs, different prices, things like that. And I didn't get one at the time, but I know Danny did, Godfrey, and he really liked it. But the problem was SteamOS Linux is not where it is today. I just think they were a little too early and being a little too ambitious with what they were trying to do. Good morning, everybody. They were trying to be a little too ambitious 10 years ago. But if you go back and watch Gabe Newell, he did an interview at GDC 2015. He pretty much laid it all out right there on what they're currently doing today. And if you really think about it, the Steam Deck was the alpha for them to finally figure out how to get the Steam machine right. Obviously, they did the Valve Index. Now coming out with Steam Frame, this is kind of the evolution of that as well, and they all synchronize and work together, right? I like it personally because, and we talked about this on Kind of Funny when we were doing a review for the Asus Rogue Xbox Ally, that I still prefer the Steam Deck, even though the Steam Deck from a performance standpoint is not as powerful as this new handheld. They figured out the UI. They got SteamOS right so that I'm just in that Steam big picture mode the entire time. I can install my games. I can install updates. I can do everything I need, and you never have to leave that experience to do so. That was the thing that they nailed with that. And they're now that they've got plenty of years of lessons learned. They're now passing that, and obviously SteamOS, you can install another handheld hardware and all that stuff now too. But now they're like, okay, we're ready to deliver this to the living room. And if you watch YouTubers like the Fox, ETA Prime, stuff like that, there's plenty of examples of people are already building Steam machines today. So this is Valve basically seeing what the community is already doing, what they've obviously done in-house, what they've curated with SteamOS. Now they're delivering it in this box. And is it going to be the most powerful, gaming machine, PC, console, whatever you want to call it out there? No, but it's going to get the job done. I mean, I believe it's FSR 3. Between the specs that are on here, along with FSR 3, they're obviously promising 4K 60, but you're not going to get all the bells and whistles that you would get from a high-end PC. And I think the bigger question on that's going to be is the price. And, on Kind of Funny, we kind of had a little back and forth. My gut initially told me that base 512 gigabyte model, $499. That was my gut. They kind of talked me out of that a little bit and raised it up. I'm kind of just hedging and essentially landing at $599 because obviously there's tariffs and all this other nonsense going on. $599 for the base model seems to make the most sense. And then the 2 terabyte one I'm thinking would probably be $750 or something like that. Because remember, Valve sold the Steam Deck at a pretty reasonable price. I can't remember if it was at cost or they took a loss or whatever, but again, you can go get a Steam Deck today for $350 or something like that. Obviously, you want to go up to OLED and all that. It's going to cost you $600+ for that. But you can get a Steam Deck today for $350, which is a great value for the handheld. It essentially plays everything, looks great, the whole thing. So I'm assuming they're going to take that same philosophy with the Steam machine as well, so that it's more affordable. Someone that like myself that already has a high-end PC, but I want to bring those Steam games into my living room, I can do it at a reasonable price, and I don't necessarily have to remote stream because I do that today, like on my Apple TV, stuff like that. But I'll be able to natively be able to play those games at a reasonable frame rate, at a reasonable resolution, and reasonable lighting, all those things. Like I said, anywhere between $500 to $600. Obviously, there's a micro SD slot. You can put that in. I'm assuming you're going to be able to open this thing up and tinker if you want to upgrade the drive in it if you don't want to buy the 2 terabyte right away. They've obviously said this is a PC. They're not shying away from that. You can put Windows on it, do whatever the hell you want with it. So I'm excited to see that. So I think from a tinkerer standpoint, it's going to be a great little box to play around with. But I also think for someone that just wants to buy it, plug it in, log in, get their Steam library and play games, it's just going to do that right out of the box, which I think is the biggest key to all of this. So I'm just talking, and I guess, is there super chats here? Oh, there are super chats here, and I do apologize because, like I said, I will get to talking, and I miss this stuff. And it looks like I have one from Cryptic84 with a $9.99 super chat. That's very generous for you. And trust me, you don't need to send me any super chats or anything. I will definitely just try and read the chat. But I do appreciate that. And you are saying to me, I want to be in the Steam ecosystem, but like the Steam Deck, the games I want to play aren't supported. Battlefield 6, Marvel Rivals, etc. I have a beefy PC with a 5080, but for those... But for these figure out anti-cheat is what you're saying, and 100% agree. And it's funny because Linux obviously doesn't support anti-cheat, but what I think Valve is trying to do, they're going to try and essentially bully the industry into supporting Linux and anti-cheat. That's what I think. I think if they get enough market share and adoption with these Steam machines and these Steam Decks, and we're vocal enough about, I want to play Battlefield 6 on this. Why can't I play Marvel Rivals, Call of Duty on down the line? That's what's going to get those games to be able to get anti-cheat. They'll figure it out. They'll figure it out in Linux. I understand Linux is more open and, there's a whole bunch of technical hoops that'll have to be jumped through to get there. But I think that's what Valve is trying to do with SteamOS, because clearly they're not walking away from Linux. They've found their niche with it along with Proton. These games just work now. There's no issues there at all. So SteamOS is here to stay. And when they finally get SteamOS, because like right now you can get SteamOS and you can install it in like the Lenovo Go, a couple other handhelds. But when they get SteamOS to where it can just be easily installed on desktop PCs, and now you can run it as a desktop if you want, you can run it as a Steam machine, whatever you want, and you get more and more people that start to adopt that and stick these things in their living rooms, they're going to figure out anti-cheat, because there's going to be a demand from the community though to want to be able to play games that have anti-cheat. I think as simple as that. So we'll see. But I do appreciate that super chat, really do. And trying to go through some of the other chat here as I'm just rambling on. I want to talk about the VR headset here in just a second as well. Steam Frame. What do we get? If Valve already locked in supplier pricing, it should be $749 to $799 for the 512. See, I think that's too high. That's way too high. I think if the 512 comes in at $750, you've priced people out. That's the price of a PS5 Pro. And from a spec standpoint, this is not as powerful as a PS5 Pro. I mean, it's kind of on par with a PS5 and a Series X, but really it's a little bit under that. We'll obviously see when we get some real world performance, specs to come out of this with games. I know one of the games they played was Cyberpunk, and I guess they did get 4K 60, but they obviously had to make concessions to get there. But that's going to be the biggest thing. What kind of performance am I going to get out of those specs to justify whatever the cost is? And that's why I'm kind of leaning more towards 500 to 600 for the base model. 750 to me, that's just, I might as well get a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox. Why am I buying this at that point, at that price? I think that's a little too much for the performance that you'll get out of it anyways, but we'll see. And as I scroll down here, and you're responding, I agree, it's too high, but everything is, and I agree. And this is where the stupid tariff stuff and all that gets in. So who the frick knows? But I think if there's anyone that is going to try and still pull value out of the hardware themselves, it's going to be Valve, because they're a private company. They're not beholden to shareholders, all that nonsense. So we'll see. We will see. Knock on wood. I'm holding out hope. Like Ryan McCaffrey even said to me, like, don't just set yourself up for disappointment. And he's probably right. But man, if the 512 is 750, that's just going to be extremely disappointing. Very, very much so. Yeah, and I did see they said they were going to price it like a PC and, to not hurt the third party partners. I get that, but there's got to be some kind of compromise to this. Again, the specs of it, I feel like, and I've not done it yet, so I'm just spitballing, thinking off the top of my head. The specs that I saw, and I know Moore's Law is dead, looked it up spec wise. You can basically get all those things for about $400, 420, I think he said, or something like that. But I feel like I could build that same spec Steam machine for around $500 if I wanted to. I could be off, but just looking at it on paper without actually doing it and seeing what current prices are with parts, because again, the tariffs, I feel like this is a maybe $600 machine. And I would assume, again, Valve is selling this at cost and not trying to make a huge profit on it. But I do understand what you're saying. They clearly need to be respectful of their partners that plan on building similar boxes, Asus, MSI, Alienware, whoever, to do the same. But let's also factor in this, and I was going to bring this up anyways, is Microsoft, Xbox. We're going to see Windows variants of their Xbox full screen experience, essentially what Valve is trying to do, and Asus and the rest they're going to make. Because like we interviewed Asus a couple weeks ago, and he wouldn't say it, but he said it. In they're doing more hardware, and I would assume the other hardware in the partnership with Xbox is not just limited to handhelds. I'm fully expecting a hybrid PC as well that'll do the whole Xbox experience stuff, and you'll be able to install Steam and all those things as well. So 22, and we talked about it kind of funny. 2026 will be interesting for all of that to see how it plays out. Obviously, it looks like Valve is going to be the first to come out the gate. Let's see how they price it. Let's see what the reception is on that. I wasn't going to go to CES this year or next year, early 2026, but I might now, because I got a feeling CES, we're going to see a lot of these companies talking a lot about what Valve is doing and their own offerings with hardware and software between SteamOS and Windows as well. But Steam Frame, I want to talk about that too. It's on the screen right now. I'm a VR, like it's funny. I was really not into VR at all a couple years ago, to the point now I have two MetaQuests. I have the MetaQuest and the MetaQuest 3 and the MetaQuest 3S. And I also have the Apple Vision Pro, and I have the God, I can't talk. I'm sorry. And I have the PlayStation VR 2 as well. So I have a good gambit of VR headsets and how they work. I'm interested in the Steam Frame. Looking at the specs of it, it looks like spec-wise, it is better than the MetaQuest 3. Look, price is crazy, but not as powerful as what the Vision Pro is on Apple, but it's going to be more than capable to do the job of playing my Steam games, both the VR Steam games as well as obviously 2D games as well, and kind of give you that big screen mode. It seems like you will be able to install some standalone games on the headset itself because it is running SteamOS. I know it's an ARM processor in it, but they're doing a translation layer with that as well, very similar to Proton. I saw it and haven't watched it yet, but I know Digital Foundry or read it. I know Digital Foundry has an article up talking about Valve right now is saying, yeah, Half-Life Alyx, you'll need to stream it from your PC to the headset, which I can do right now on the MetaQuest 3, but they're obviously going to have that new adapter. It should be better visuals, the whole thing, right? But they are looking into seeing if they can get Half-Life Alyx to be installed as a standalone on the headset. I'm not assuming it will happen. If it does, great. I would assume even if it does, the visual quality would be reduced. But it's just cool that you'll have the flexibility to do things like that. So the Steam Frame, like I said, you would be able to essentially do, Steam VR Link? I forget the exact acronym on it, but you'll have that wireless adapter you can plug into your PC or into your Steam machine. And then you'll be able to stream your PC games and your PC VR games from that device to the headset, be able to play them. Obviously, there'll be games. I would assume a lot of the MetaQuest 3 standalone games will be playable on the Steam Frame as well. I don't know if you'll be able to have the MetaQuest store on there, or they'll have to put Steam versions of these games or whatever the case. But I'm looking forward to it. Now, pricing is going to be interesting on that. MetaQuest 3 right now is about $500. I'm thinking this is in the 800-ish range, up in there somewhere. We'll see. Obviously, we got to get more information on it, beyond just the limited hands-on that some of the media had at Valve, but it looks promising. I'm like I said, I'm interested. At this point, I'm a VR junkie, so I'm fully expecting picking this up as well in early 2026. If anything, I hope Valve does a bundle where I can get the Steam Machine, the controller, and the headset all in once, and I get a little bit of reduction on price because I'm planning to get all of them because I do want to check it out. Same, like I said, with the Steam Machine or the Steam controller. Seeing the upgraded to that, I know there's the 2 track pads, not something that I'm necessarily going to be using, but I want to get my hands on it, get a good feel for it, see how it works. Obviously, there'll be some PC games that I could take advantage of the trackpad. Obviously, it's fully customizable with the button layout and how you want to do things. So looking forward to that as well. But I just think overall, I'm very excited to see what Valve is doing with hardware, because I think it lines up a lot where I just think gaming is going. Gaming is becoming a more open platform than what it has been for the past 40 years. And having the flexibility as a consumer to decide what type of hardware I want, the configurations that I want, the performance that I want, but the games are all there for me to play regardless of what I choose. So, excuse me. So what Valve is doing makes a lot of sense. Seems like Microsoft, Xbox is going down a similar path. PlayStation, obviously not so much. But it's exciting. It's exciting to see, and I'm really looking forward to early 2026 when I can get my hands on this stuff and give it, through the full review process, my own review, and see how much I like it, and obviously talk about it here on the channel and other places as well. What else do we have here? Because like I said, I am just running my mouth. Like I said, I just wanted to kind of get my overall thoughts out about this because, it clearly was taking yesterday. They took the internet by storm. Now, one other thing, there's a game that may or may not be coming, that may or may not launch with the Steam Machine and the Steam frame, and that's Half-Life 3. There's been obviously a lot of rumors. It sounds like the rumors sound true enough that they're clearly working on something Half-Life related. It would just make sense that whenever this gets announced, the Game Awards or wherever, Danny thinks it's the Game Awards. I disagree with him, and I don't think they'll do it at the Game Awards, but who the frick knows? I could be wrong. But if and or when they announce Half-Life 3, I would imagine it arrives around the same time that the Steam Machine and the Steam frame is available. Just makes sense. It would be Steam exclusive. So, not obviously any device that you can put Steam on, you'll be able to play it. But I don't see this coming to PlayStation or Xbox. I just think it's a value add to investing into the Steam ecosystem to be able to play Half-Life 3. So I think that's going to be the main attraction of it. I think that will be the game to kind of promote the Steam Machine and the Steam frame. I think one interesting thing will be, we obviously have like Alex, which is the VR game. If you've not experienced it, I highly suggest you do. It is quite the experience, and it's crazy because I guess Alex was 2020, I think. But anyways, it's like a 5 or 6 year old game at this point. But will they do something VR related with Half-Life 3? I guess would be the question. Or is it just a 2D or 2D, 3D experience? You know what I mean? Or is it a non-VR experience would be the question with that. Or is it a combination of both, where it is just your standard game when you're playing on the Steam Machine or a PC? Or if you put on the Steam frame, it now becomes VR. I don't know. We'll obviously see if and or when it gets announced. I am leaning towards Half-Life 3 is real, and we will get Half-Life 3 at launch. I just think it makes a lot of sense for Valve to do so. I mean, again, the last game was 5 or 6 years ago for Half-Life, and we've never gotten a follow-up to episode 2 of Half-Life 2. So I'm looking forward to it. I want to see what they do. I think it happens. I do. And what else do we have here in the chat? And what's up, everybody? Like I said, I'm just running my mouth, so I've probably missed a million different things of what people are talking about. And what do we got here? Oh, hey, I see some familiar faces here. I appreciate y'all hanging out. Like I said, I just wanted to hop on here and just run my mouth really quick about the Valve stuff so that I got my complete thought out there. I'm just scanning the chat here really quick. Yeah, you hope it's good because you'll never buy Quest 3 because of Facebook. And hey, I get it. I totally get it. And I will say that also plays into it for me as well. I'm fine with the Meta Quest 3. I don't need all the Facebooky stuff that comes with it. So if you can give me hardware to where it just does what I want it to do, which is play VR games and then maybe watch a movie or something, with a big 100-inch screen, with the headset on, that's all I really use it for. I don't need, what do they call it? I don't know, because I never go into it, but like their whole VR world thing, I don't need any of that nonsense. So if the Steam frame can just do the job of VR games, I'm good. That's all I really need. Let's see. The controller will be my main unless Xbox does something like it. So that's going to be interesting with Xbox. What is their next evolution of their controller? Because, at this point, this is pretty much, and this is the Razer version, but this has pretty much become the standard controller that you see obviously on Xbox and even across PC. Sure, the DualSense will work and there's other things like that, but can that Steam controller kind of take some of the shine away from that and potentially maybe force an Xbox or a PlayStation to evolve their controllers even more? Because like even DualSense, I like a lot of stuff that DualSense does, and I hope that Xbox can adopt some of that and with their haptics and things like that. But we'll see. We'll obviously see. I would imagine next gen we're gonna see a change with the Xbox controller. Maybe not as far as the ergonomics of it. I would assume that stays the same because it just works. But I think functionality of the controller, I fully expect that to be updated going in. But yeah, again, I'm excited to get my hands on that Steam controller and see how I like it. Because if I don't like it, I'll just go back to the Xbox controller, right? Oh, and let's see. What is this? Paris, do you think this will force Xbox to release a mid-range console? No, I don't. What I do think is, I think you're going to see, and console is probably too strong of a word here, but I do think they're going to continue to partner with the Asuses and Lenovo's of the world, and we're going to see a quote-unquote PC console that has the Xbox full screen experience on it and essentially can do everything. It'll do what the Steam machine does, but it has Windows on it. I think that's what it'll be. I think we'll see that, and I think we'll see that next year, honestly. And then I think 2027 holiday, you get the real next generation Xbox with that AMD chip that allows for full backwards compatibility. It's probably running Windows 12 at that point, and we'll see what the UI and everything looks like then. But no, I don't think Microsoft themselves makes any more hardware for this generation. I think they'll let partners do it, and then their focus is going to be making hardware for the next generation. Just my thought. This Steam Deck is going to help set the pricing for the next gen. Interesting on that. You might be right, because I'll say again, if this thing comes in at $500 and it gets the job done and plays games in my living room without issue, it'll really make Xbox and PlayStation have to look at their consoles and how much we're pricing it. It sounds like what Xbox has already said. Theirs will be a premium experience and it will be pricey. But it will be curious to see what the PlayStation 6 is, and if Valve gets enough market penetration to kind of dictate what pricing looks like on a competitive level, where people might go, why am I spending $800-900 on this console when I can go spend $500 on this one and it plays all my games just fine? Now, obviously, digital library investment ecosystems plays into this as well, because not everyone has a big library of Steam games. I think people that do, this would be a very attractive offering to it. And, like when we had Phil Spencer on a couple years ago, it's going to be very hard to get people to ditch their digital libraries because they have the investment in them. And I think that is something that PlayStation is clearly banking on, which is probably why you're seeing this cross-buy thing and them eventually doing a PC store, because now people can translate their PlayStation library over to PC if necessary, or vice versa. Obviously, Steam is pretty entrenched. Xbox has Game Pass, stuff like that. So we'll see. But like I said, I'm I'm going to be fascinated to see what the Steam Machine price is going to be, because it will say a lot about what hardware pricing will look like moving forward. But that was a good question, or good statement. And let's see, what is Huggle Hipster saying? Competitors are seeing a healthy opportunity to make something the console is lacking. This is the most Xbox console I've seen ever. Steam is the majority of people go to platform game. Yeah, I mean, Valve, like I said, I like what Valve's doing here. I do. I think this open platform where if you want to tinker, you can tinker. If you don't, you're fine. And it's been reasonably priced so far with the Steam Deck. So let's see what the Steam Machine is going to be like and Steam Frame's going to look like. And like I said, all the interconnectivity of these devices. And then not to mention, there's nothing stopping me from building my own PC, whether it be Windows or Steam OS. I can put Steam on it and I can have the same experience. So it's up to the consumer on a level of customization that they want to do. But here's Valve's, what's the word I'm looking for? Here's their, I'm blanking on the word I want to use for it, but essentially here's their offering on it, right? Here's the standard model, so to speak. I'm blanking on the word I really want to use, but you get my meaning on that of here's a Steam Machine, here's the specs and things that we think just for you can have a great gaming experience at this price. You want to do VR, here's what we think works at this price, right? And obviously here's our controller if you want to try that too. And if you don't, you can still use your Xbox controller or your PlayStation DualSense controller. What do we got? Wait, Smokey, because he's a game. Wait a minute. Okay, what is Cryptic saying? I am no game dev, but do you think this adds too much stress on them? They're configuring for Steam Deck, configuring Switch 2, PlayStation Now, Steam Machine, or is it just... No, I just think it's part of the job now, which this again goes back to what Xbox is doing by essentially making all their game development PC game development. And you just had Mark Cerny talking about Project Amethyst. I think I'm saying that correctly. And working with AMD to essentially streamline their development process so that it is a more PC development process. So it's easier to go to multiple devices. This is what we're seeing. Again, just look at where the industry is right now, and just it's on fire, and all the crazy layoffs and then exploding prices of game development and everything. They're trying to streamline all this stuff, not only to reduce costs, but to make game development quicker. And let's just take PlayStation as example. So when a game comes to PlayStation, now it can come to PC in a quicker time frame and at more quality without issues to PC. That's what I think. Like, as an example, I fully expect Ghost of Yotei to be on PC by March of 2026. Could be wrong, but I think they're trying to shorten the time span that their games go to console and then to PC. Not saying day and date. It could obviously very well happen one day, but that's what I think PlayStation is doing. Obviously, Microsoft is already there with their studios that they're developing games for the console and PC simultaneously. And then as we see, they're always day and date. And now that they're doing PlayStation as well, some come to PlayStation day one, others take longer time. And I think overall, as the industry is going, they're trying to streamline that development process. So you're not having to develop for like Mark Cerny said, custom hardware. It is more standardized PC hardware that is more easily transferable to other devices. That's what I think. I'm no game dev. I'm an idiot. I could be wrong, but that's how I interpret everything that they're saying. But we'll see. And the other thing with the Steam Machine, because I see someone saying they love retro gaming too. Emulation beast that thing will be. I can't wait to see that. Retro Game Core. I always say it wrong. Retro Game Core. And I got to meet him. He's an awesome dude. He actually just put out a video yesterday talking about the emulation possibilities with the Steam Machine. I highly suggest go checking that out and reading it or watching it, because I think for people that are in the emulation and want the retro games, again, it's going to be right there under your living room TV, easily playable. So I think that's going to be great too. And let's see. You grew up with the Nintendo D-pad, so you prefer soft and quiet, play a lot of platformers, and I switched from the official controller to my 8-bit Dell when playing. Yeah. And you're going to be able to swap with all that stuff with the Steam Machine as well pretty easily. What time do we have? I got to go to a meeting soon. So I think I got everything. I said everything I wanted. Unless someone's in the chat got anything else, questions, comments. I do appreciate y'all hanging out as I ramble on about the stuff with Valve. Obviously, I'll have a lot more to say, moving forward. But it's an exciting time. Definitely an exciting time for gaming, I think. I put out the tweet earlier. I mean, this whole console war stuff, it's a wrap. This stuff is a wrap. These companies are trying to make money. They're trying to put their games in as many places as they can, whether we like it or not, however you might feel about it. It is what it is. But, oh, I'm blurry. Oh, probably stupid lighting. Should be changing. Let's see. Did it? No, it didn't. Crap. Hold on. What's that? It's the light. It's this door behind me. I got it because the light reflects off it. It takes me out of brightness or blurry. It makes me blurry sometimes. I can't even talk. I'm sorry. But yeah, as I wrap this up, like I said, I just it's an exciting time for where I think gaming is going. Like I said, making everything more open platform, allowing us to choose where and what we want to play, versus you got to go here to play it on this box. Play it wherever you want. I think it's as simple as that. And what do we got here? One more question. Red Misfit. What's up, Paris? I know you're not a big GTA. Who said I'm not a big GTA fan? I never said that. Have I ever said that? I don't think I've ever said that. But what is your hype level for GTA 6 from 1 to 10? Are you excited in any way to play it? Beyond. Okay, I'll be honest. Probably a 9, I would say. And I'm a fan of GTA. I've played them all since 3. Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of GTA. Now, am I on GTA Online and I've just put in hundreds and hundreds of hours? No, but I've enjoyed, the open world of GTA for a while. I thought 5 was fantastic. Hell, I bought it 3 times, so I better have enjoyed it. But I'd say probably a 9 for 6. I mean, now it's November. We'll see if that date holds. But yeah, I'll be there November 19th when it comes out for sure. I think it's probably the most anticipated game of all time at this point, because it goes beyond just our hardcore gaming audience. It's a pop cultural event at this point. There's people that normally don't play games will go play Grand Theft Auto 6. So yeah, it will be a big deal when it comes out. I will be very curious to see the pricing. I have my theory on what the pricing will look like, which I've talked about before, whereas I do think it'll be $70 or $80 if you want the base game, but then they'll do quote unquote early access and collector's editions that'll be 100 plus. And that's how they're going to get people, because anyone that's excited for Grand Theft Auto is not going to want to wait, and they're going to want to get the early access. Just my thought, but we'll see. Yep, Call of Duty tomorrow. Might have some thoughts on it. We'll see. We'll see. You never know. But yeah, again, Call of Duty, the franchise that will not die. It just keeps going. You know what I mean? So it will be interesting to see what people think when it's out. And best part of GTA 5, you're what hipsters aspire to be. You're a hipster. Yeah. So, all right, I'm going to end this. And like I said, again, I do appreciate you guys hanging out with me as I ramble on during KFGD. So I need to find a dedicated time to live stream, because I just do it when I have time in between meetings and stuff like that would work. But I need to find time. As we go into 2026, I'm definitely trying to figure out a more normal cadence. I want to do more stuff with Kind of Funny as well. Obviously, Gamertag Radio, but just on my own channel. I want to be a little more consistent about the stuff that I do. But everyone that supports me, I really do appreciate it, and definitely look forward to more coming as we go into the new year, because I think 2026 is going to be a very exciting time. And obviously, I'm talking about Valve. Expect a lot of stuff with Valve, because I'm very excited for this hardware. Can't wait to get my hands on it. So again, thank you all for hanging out, and hope you have a good rest of the day, and I will talk to you again real soon.